What's up, guys? Welcome back to IAM Real Estate. I'm really happy to be here today, to be making this video, to be making new content, to be able to answer new questions, to give you guys new facts. Really happy, really excited. So let's jump right into it. As you guys can see right here on my board, my special magic board. I think I'm gonna get a bigger one. I should get a bigger one. My special magic board. Our video is going to be about what is an EMD. Okay, what is an EMD? If you are a buyer, if you're a seller, if you're an agent on either side, a listing agent or a buyer's agent, if you're an attorney, you're gonna hear this. You're gonna hear this term all the time. If you are in the middle of a real estate transaction, inspectors might hear it, appraisers might hear it, maybe less, but this, it still might get floated around. So what is an EMD? What does it stand for? Okay, EMD stands for earnest money deposit. Okay, so a lot of people out there might be like, oh, what is an earnest money deposit? Now, the key word here, the key word that a lot of people are going to recognize here is deposit. We all know what a deposit is, right? I think many people out there have placed a deposit on something. So, earnest money deposit. Now, let's take a step back. In many states throughout the United States, I cannot promise you that this is in every single state because I've not worked in every state. I have not traveled to every state. Okay, so I can't promise you it's in every state. But in majority states and in all states that I have looked it up and I've spoken to people in a real estate transaction, you need, fun fact here, guys, pay attention. If you get anything out of this video, get this piece right here. Ready? In a real estate transaction, it is not a binding agreement unless some type of money is placed, okay? Cash, check, something of value must be placed. And majority of the times, it's going to be money. It is real estate, okay? So, for a binding contract for a contract to be binding, it needs to have some type of deposit, okay? Now, again, I've not traveled to every state. I don't know every state. I don't talk to people in every state. But the term might fluctuate. It might be a little bit different in California versus Texas versus Rhode Island. I don't know, okay? But earnest money deposit, key word here is deposit. This is the word that everybody's going to recognize. So, as a buyer, you place a deposit on a contract. By placing a deposit on that contract, you are now saying, this is a binding contract. We are locked in. This is the house that we want. So, when do you place the deposit? How does it work? Again, every state is different. But for most states, you are going to place it during purchase and sales. I always put PNS. I put it in my emails. Everybody usually knows what it means. This just means purchase and sales. I'm actually going to write it out. That way you guys can, see it that way too. Purchase, sorry for my handwriting, and sales. Okay, so as a buyer, once you have signed purchase and sales, now purchase and sales is the long contract that you are agreeing to buy this house. Usually do it before inspections and all that other fun stuff, still very early in the process. Purchase and sales, after you've signed, you place your earnest money deposit. How much should an earnest money deposit be? Now, that depends on you. It depends on the house. It depends on, your area, the area that you're buying in, kind of what's the market, things like that. So, where I live, Springfield, Massachusetts, Western Massachusetts, let's say Western Massachusetts because I go everywhere except for Springfield. And go everywhere, including Springfield. Now, it's very common to see $1,000, $2,000, $5,000 deposits, somewhere in that range. It's most often going to be something that as a buyer, you are comfortable with placing, okay? Because just like any other deposit, you can lose your deposit, okay? You don't want to say, oh, well, let's just put a $20,000 deposit on if it's not something that you're comfortable with, okay? Now, if it's your dream house and you love it and this is the one, all right, great. Go ahead and put the deposit that you're comfortable with. Go all in on it and show the seller how serious you are about it. Because again, the higher your deposit, the more, more likely the seller's going to say, wow, this person really is serious. This person really does want the house, okay? So, earnest money deposit. I have also seen, I get this question a lot, what's the highest earnest money deposit that I've seen, EMD that I've seen. I've personally worked with somebody, I think that they put a $10,000 deposit on. I've heard of somebody in my office where they put a $20,000 deposit, $20,000 deposit. Now, that's not always necessary, but again, in some cases, it might be warranted. In some cases, you feel comfortable with that. This is the one. All right, cool, go with it. You might also be in a position where you're buying a $2.5, $3 million house, and you're like, well, a $1,000 deposit really isn't going to prove anything, right? I need to prove I have that money. So, earnest money deposit, it's a deposit that you place when you are signing purchase and sales, when you are signing the contract to say we are buying this house with all of these fund agreements in them. So, like I also said in the video, somebody else out there might have peeped it. Like any other deposit, you can lose this deposit. So how do you make sure you save your deposit? How do you keep yourself safe? How do you keep your buyer safe? Right? So let's talk about those things. So you want to pay attention to a couple things. And this is actually going to be the number one. I'm just going to go ahead and put the number one thing on there right now. Dates. Okay? This is the number one way and the number one reason a lot of people out there are going to lose their deposits. A lot of agents lose their buyer deposits. A lot of buyers are not happy when they lose $5,000 deposits, $10,000 deposits. This is money that you guys work hard for, that your clients work hard for, and this isn't something that they want to lose. So pay attention to your dates. Pay attention to the dates in your contract. So an example, if mortgage contingency is on November 1st and you need an extension, file that extension. Okay, because just by filing the extension, you've covered your buyer. You've covered yourself if you are the buyer, right? File those extensions, okay? Make sure that you guys aren't letting something expire that really shouldn't expire. Like I don't want to, hit the nail a million times, but guys, this is the number one way that people always lose the deposits. The other way that you can lose your deposit, if you're also the person, and I've seen this as well, and some people might be like, oh, that's crazy, but I've seen this. Some people just say, you know what, I don't want the house anymore, I'm walking away for no good reason. And if you're going to do that, you need to understand that an attorney or an agent can't always fight for you and get that deposit back. But again, if you're okay with it, you're okay with it. So dates, make sure that if you are walking away, there is some type of reason or you will lose that deposit, right? Reason to walk. Now let me elaborate on that, because that might be a little bit confusing and I don't want to confuse anybody here. So reason to walk. Let's say that you walk into the house, you've had inspections, and you go and you turn around and you say, you know what, it needs a new roof and it needs all updated electrical, okay? And you're like, I don't want to pay for that. The seller's not willing to fix it. I no longer want this house, okay? So you go to the seller and say, listen, I don't want the house anymore because the roof and the electrical has me very, very worried. This is a valid reason to walk away. You can say, let's terminate contract and give me my earnest money deposit back. That is very important for people to understand, because a lot of people think to themselves, oh my God, I'm going to lose my deposit. No, if you have a very, very good reason to just walk away and you're no longer comfortable with buying this house, you got to understand the roof and the electrical might not have been something that you known when you placed the deposit, when you signed the purchase and sales contract, when you placed the offer on the house. You didn't know this. So now it's new knowledge coming to you, and you have the right to walk away and ask for your deposit back. Your agent has the right and they have the duties to sit there and fight for you to get that deposit back, okay? If you're the agent, fight for your damn client, okay? Your attorney has the right and they have the duty to fight for you, okay? Now I know, real quick side note, I know in some states, an attorney is not required to move forward on a contract and to move forward on the purchase of a house. I always recommend getting an attorney. Doesn't matter what state you're in, because of reasons like this. Back to what we're talking about, okay? So if you have a good reason to walk, you can walk and request that deposit back, okay? Now, if you're also somebody, again, I've seen this before, he walks in, or she walks in, or they walk in, and they look around, and they're like, yeah, we want the house. A month later, they're like, yeah, we don't want it no more. There's no real reason. There's no reason that we don't want the house. We just don't want it anymore. We don't like the area. Color of the house bothers us. We don't want it. As an agent, it's going to be very, very difficult for me to fight for you. If you're just saying why, there's no reason behind it. Okay, there's no logical reason except for the fact that you don't want it. And as a buyer, you have that total right. If you don't want to buy a house, nobody can force you to buy a house. But you need to understand that that is a deposit that you place, and that deposit can be lost. Okay, guys? I've seen people do this, and they are like, you know what? Hey, I'm going to lose my deposit. I understand. And that's why I always advise people, place a deposit that you're comfortable with. Again, if this is your dream house and you're like, wow, this is the one I want, go ahead and place the deposit, right? Place a $2,000, $3,000 deposit. If it's $1 million house, place the deposit that you want to place, right? You got cash in your pocket, right? But if this is a house you're like, oh, I like it, I don't love it, I'm afraid of losing my money, anything could happen. Some people want to play it safe. Place a more secure deposit, something you're more comfortable with. Okay, guys? Earnest money deposit, it is very, very important in real estate contracts. I don't want you guys to get confused with the earnest money. Earnest money just means that it is money that you are putting into buying the contract deposit, and that's all it is. Okay, guys? Hopefully this wasn't confusing. I've tried to explain it to many people. Most people get it. Most people understand it right after I explain it, but this is a question I get a lot. What is an earnest money deposit? Why is it required? You know, what are the risks of putting a high earnest money deposit? So I wanted to make this video to answer those questions, okay, guys? If you have any more questions, drop them in the comment section if there's anything about this. If you have any more questions about anything related to real estate transactions, being an agent, being a buyer, being a seller, anywhere in between, drop them in my comment section. I really, really appreciate you guys watching this video, making it all the way to the end of the video. I'll make more again soon. I'm going to be dropping more content soon. Keep dropping questions. Keep dropping comments. I appreciate everybody out there. Have an amazing day.